And we're live.
Yo, what's up? mAng and Neads Show. Sonic Garden Radio Live. What day it is? Saturday.
What would I be without my misery? Sometimes I look so hard that I can't see. Ain't no difference between you and me. None of us got it figured out yet. I got a restless soul that's moving me. I've seen the mountains, felt the ocean breeze, and had the world bring us to your knees. But you ain't ready to give it up yet. Wears her heart out on her sleeve. Nobody told her that her stones don't bleed. And I'm gonna try to be a little naive, 'cause I ain't got you figured out yet. I'll keep trying to do what's right. I'll keep trying to sleep at night. And you push too hard and we gonna fight, 'cause I ain't above all that yet. Above all that. Man needs something he can hold on to. 9-pound hammer or a woman like you. Any one of them things will do. Keep me from moving on. Clench my hands and pray for rain. Try to bring you something, ease the pain. And the hole keeps getting bigger every day, 'cause I ain't got around to fixing it yet. I'll keep trying to do what's right. I'll keep trying to sleep at night. And you push too hard and we gonna fight, 'cause I ain't above all that yet. Above all that is. Take me back to the place in time where I was yours and you were mine, and I can still taste the dandelion wine, that summer sun shining on my back. We've been down this road a mile or two, just killing time before it kills you, and take what you'll need, leave the rest. Try not to waste any more of my breath. $100 bottles in the afternoon, get fucking higher than the stars and moon, and cook my drugs back in a silver spoon, 'cause we still got no regrets. I'll keep trying to do what's right. I'll keep trying to sleep at night. Push too hard and we gonna fight. Ain't above all that yet. Ain't above all that yet.
All right.
All right.
All right. We got a special guest on the mAng and Neads Show today, as you can hear.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the mAng and Neads Show, live on Sonic Gardens Radio. Running a daily show, 4 p.m., bring our listeners some daily banter, Sonic Gardens music, guest call-ins, and newly added as of today, we are going to do our best to add an acoustic session in front of our majestic sleeping lion.
Oh, yeah.
Painted by our good friend, Ryan Warner.
They're great.
Very talented.
Yeah. So that intro cue, I
animal
screwed up
doctor.
screwed up the instruction, but
oh man.
but hey, we're there. And now,
So that's Buckshots Brother, everybody.
yeah, man, in front of the lion.
In front of the lion out here.
known to his mother is Ben.
Benjamin.
It's my Christian name.
Christian name is Benjamin.
Hi, folks. How y'all doing today?
Good. Hey, how are you doing, man?
Oh, I'm doing super.
Good to have you
Super,
down
know?
out here in front of the lion, man.
Yeah, the sun's out, we're quarantined.
Sun's out. We got you in the dark in front of a bright light.
Yeah, I can't
Yeah.
stop it. Ray Charles, bro.
Yeah. So what do you call that song you just played for us?
Well, that was, above all that, yeah. That's a good thing you asked that, because I almost forgot half the damn song there for a minute.
Oh.
Yeah, I know.
Seems like a pretty good song, actually.
I'm well prepared. I'm willing to sell it to the right buyer.
Yeah,
Let's buy that.
Had to reach deep into the memory bank to remember it, huh?
Yeah, it's a little fuzzy up there.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
Only on the weekend.
This one time, Well, anyway, what's new with you guys?
Well, Angelo's in the control room, chilling.
That's right.
There's a lot going on with this whole quarantine thing, so it's like summer got canceled for me, basically. So that's what's up for me.
That's no bueno.
Yeah.
No bueno. I'm ready for our kids to go back to school.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You're ready to skip your little kid to 5 years old already?
Well, no, the old lady's got two, and
they're a handful, huh?
Yeah, they go to school.
Old Daddy Ben.
Well, that's I guess that's not
Boom,
happening
instant
this
family.
year. Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, I know, it sucks, man.
So you've been doing all the homeschooling then?
Yeah, it's no fun.
You're the teacher.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it's gonna be shitty in a couple years when these kids are running the world.
Right. You could just do a permanent music class, right?
Yeah, you could.
Right?
Life skills.
Yeah.
Life skills is what I'm all about.
Yeah, teach them how to do mechanic work and play the instrument. That's what I would.
Don't do mechanic.
Yeah. Oh man, I seen you blow a fuse once or twice.
Oh yeah, a couple times. Remember that one time I threw that chair at you?
Fucking A. Dude, he come around the corner.
Son of a fucking bitch.
God damn it. He come around the corner to get out of the main bay to throw a chair. He thinking he was just going to throw the chair, but little did he know, I was sitting on the fucking steps. That motherfucker creamed me with a fucking stool.
Yeah, I'm not proud of that moment. Yeah, I don't blow up like that as much anymore.
All right.
It's probably a good thing.
There's usually like underlying things. It's not it's never like just the the one little thing in the moment.
There was a few things.
Where we were working, there was a bunch of underlying things.
Yeah. Shake and bake, bud.
Yeah.
Shake and bake.
We were down there at the muffler joint working together. We did pretty good though. We had a pretty good.
We had a hell of a good time.
Yeah, we had a good time. At least I did.
I don't know if we fixed anything right.
Yeah.
But we had fun doing it.
I don't think we fixed too much.
Baker made money off the deal.
Yeah. So what do you got going on in there, Angelo?
Well,
got your hands full?
No, I was gonna say that I know you you don't like those cart narcs guys, right?
Oh, jeez,
and
dude.
And so I usually watch them, and I'm like, yeah, they're out of line, but it's still kind of funny.
What do you mean you usually watch? That's like one of your go-to.
No, it's just like since I discovered them, they've been popping up. So like you see the caption, and you kind of like want to see what the reaction is. So.
I mean, I always wonder like those people that do that and they're persistent and they get a bunch of follow or whatever. But why can't the like?
Well, they turned it into like a real business where they.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, they like. There's a bunch of guys. They fly around and they go.
But why can't the real cool kids don't do that? It's like if you listen to that.
I did see. So here's one that I wanted to tell you. This one, the guy walked down the walkway with the cart, like leaving the store. He left it like on the right next to the ramp, like whatever the little walk ramp. He picked up his two heavy bags, with shopping, the reusable shopping bags. But you could tell they were heavy. The guy starts walking. You can clearly see he's walking across the parking lot to a bus stop.
Right.
To get picked up, and the cart narc guy runs at him and says, bloop, bloop, bliddity-doo, mister. You forgot to put your cart back, and the dude just, lost it.
He did?
Yeah, but it was like, his was like, this guy... Yeah, he was so pissed, but it's like that one wasn't really as bad as some of them, like the one guy that left it right outside his door, and then,
Right.
and then he flipped. So I didn't feel as bad. But this guy, it was like, dude, this guy's getting on a bus with 2 freaking bags of groceries, and you're gonna like harass him over the cart when.
See, I guess I don't like those guys because I just always put my fucking cart back. Fuck it, I'd put my cart back.
Don't be a dick.
I just put it back.
Sure.
Whatever.
Don't scratch the paint job, bro.
Have you ever heard, Benny, what we're talking about? The cart narcs?
You know, I don't think I have.
It's like a YouTube guys that like they go to these different shopping places and they just look out for people doing it, and then they approach them and.
Not only are they cart narcs, Benny, they sound like holy fuck. They sound like one of them guys that when they talk to you, you just want to strangle the motherfucker.
They're like,
sounds like you need a fucking real job, is what they need.
Except for that was one of what the guy said. He's like, get a job. He's like, this is my job. He's like, what do you make? Bullshit. What are you making? And when it comes down to it, though, they are making because they got tons of videos, you know,
and tons
YouTube.
Of followers,
and yeah,
3 figures. He said.
That's what he said.
That one guy goes, the decimal, your decimal's on the wrong side.
He goes 6 figures. He goes 6 figures.
What am I doing wrong?
Dibbly do. That's the point.
Well, that's why I go to Aldi's, because they keep them all handcuffed together, so you can't get away with them.
Yep.
You want your quarterback.
You want your quarterback.
There you go.
Bob.
Get that quarterback. They got a lady out there at Aldi's wiping everything down too. Yeah, she don't fuck around, man.
First.
I missed out on getting that gig. That would be perfect for me. Stand by the fucking door and wipe shit off.
Give you a little spritzer there, Bob.
Yeah. Spray your cart for you.
Yeah. So, you know, I felt for that guy. I actually just pictured him, you know, like any...
breaking the fucking kid's neck.
Yeah.
Whack.
He was mad.
Oh, man. So did he bring the cart back?
No.
Oh.
Told the guy go fuck himself.
Yeah, see,
he does.
do they
People nowadays.
do they film anybody like the people that they say stuff to just walk away? Like that's the when someone's giving you shit like that and you don't say anything and you walk away, that burns the person filming or whatever's ass even more.
It's not really anything to watch at that point.
They got to blur your face out.
Yeah. Uncle Blurry.
Yeah. Trademark.
All right, you got another song for us, Benny?
Yeah.
Do I?
Benny.
Oh,
I know you only got 2, but
I came with a list.
you could just play them backwards.
Oh,
you did?
Yeah, everybody, I just want to say thank you, you know, for doing this, Ben. We're you know, we're going to try and make this like a, you know, regular thing. Like I said, get on a rotation and come in here once a week or whenever, you know, you can
hell, if it gets me out of the house, I'll be here.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
So.
I'll be
Hopefully
here.
your old lady isn't listening.
I'll wear out my welcome real fucking quick.
Well, I know you got buckets of songs, so we'll be all right. We just got to get you a set of headphones that appropriate.
You want to hear something to take a bath with your toaster with? Or something more uplifting.
I like Heartbreaking Carnage myself.
That's the best stuff.
Yeah.
There you go.
We're coming at you.
All right, thanks. mAng and Neads Show.
Saw you crying in the pale moonlight. I was trying to set things right. Face to face, 1,000,000 miles apart. Walked away with my only heart. I can't complain, I'm a sad old tune. In my grave I'll remember you. From beyond I will call you soon. With this song I will carry on through. I spit and growl instead of breathing. I drank and howled for my healing. I carry round, this crate of hateful feeling. trying to lose those hungry for you blues. Stars align for us to be. In my mind, you were everything. How one kiss could ignite the sea. Now you're mist and I'm diseased. I'm getting by on my friend morphine. Hope I die on this empty street. Though your mind wanders endlessly, don't waste your time pondering me. Do not waste your time pondering me. Yeah, I spit and growl instead of breathing. Drinking house for my healing, and I carried round this crate of hateful feeling, just trying to lose those hungry for you blues.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Got too much there.
Oh yeah.
Nice, man. Thanks, Ben. That was beautiful, man.
A little cover song.
It's awesome with that lion
Yeah.
sleeping. You
Little
were like
Lost
keeping
Dog
that
Street Man.
lion sleepy. It was great. That was beautiful.
Is that one he did with the band or one he just did by himself?
No, it was when he did solo.
Solo, right?
Yeah. He was out there on a bender.
On a bender,
On a bender,
making
yeah.
an album.
Whose song is that?
Benjamin Todd.
Yeah, Lost
All right.
Dog Street Band.
Okay, that's
Yeah.
You make all those shirts. You got a lot of Lost Dog Street Band shirts.
Yeah.
You got a shirt? Hell
Yeah, I made some shirts,
Yeah.
dude.
Are you paying them for it? Well,
Yeah.
yeah.
Let's not go.
Checks
let's
in
not
the
say
mail,
that. Yeah.
If he hits it big,
Yeah, I
They're
didn't
in.
sell any. If that makes it better,
Oh,
just
yeah.
made them for
You made
myself
'em
to
for
wear.
yourself.
Gave my friends a couple.
Well, you can do that.
Yeah, I didn't sell any.
Yeah, okay.
I sell all the other
Just
good
checking,
shirts.
you
Yeah, yeah,
I know Cuomo wants his 50 cents.
yeah. Cuomo's
Oh, don't get started.
Cuomo's in my good graces, man.
Yeah? Why?
Yeah.
What'd he do?
Well, he didn't do anything to me.
He
that's
did- he
that's the
doesn't
good
do
thing.
anything.
That's the good thing. He didn't do anything to old Joshy. He's he's an Italian, so he's got that going for him. Cause I'm real partial to Italians. My grandma was full blown. I really like Italians. My
Grandma
mom's
Rosie.
Italian. I really
Yeah.
like her.
that's not really like necessarily a reason to.
No,
but
it's not.
yeah,
It's a
it's a
good
good
excuse. Yeah.
Italians.
Shit.
Only Italians will ask you what's for dinner when they're eating their lunch.
Yeah. Yeah, man. They fucking want to
Stressful
know.
life.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Yeah. So yeah, man,
What?
that was good stuff.
Yeah,
It
you like
sounds
that
really good too. I'm
Yeah.
excited. So I'm recording all this as well. The audio part of it through the system. Usually we just
Right.
run the video straight, but in this case I'm actually recording it as well. So we're gonna be able to fine tune some mix mastering later.
make me sound like I know what I'm doing.
Yeah,
You-
well,
no, man, you sound really, really
I
good.
don't know if he's
I'm-
that qualified, but
Thank you.
to make
Yeah,
you
it
sound
sounds
that
really good.
that good. But
So, listeners out there,
subscribe.
this is we're gonna kind of run this as a new thing. We got a few other. We got Nate Collins coming tomorrow.
From the great
Gonna
band.
do the Sunday show with the mAng and Neads. We got looks like Jesse Tressler's gonna be coming in on Tuesday.
Yes, sir.
Really?
Yeah.
Taco Tuesday. Imagine that.
And and I got a tentative from Mr. the Great Mike Davis to make it next Saturday.
A tentative?
He just had to lock down a few things, make sure. And obviously, everybody's like, doesn't know what's going on with the whole thing.
Right.
And, as we've said, we're 48 days we've been doing this, and we're me, you, and Chris been the only people in this place.
Right.
Now we're going to add Benny to the list. And like I said, he's got his little cockpit over there.
We got the Clorox wipes out, though.
We got all the Clorox wipes.
You're going to need them.
We're going to clean it all up. And so just try and keep this place all the handle. So it's basically like one person coming to see us per day. So it's like not really
hopefully they don't have hot breath.
And again, we are fully separated in this place. Josh is
6 feet.
I'm out here. Benny looks like he's right here to my left, but he's out in the other room.
I'm far away.
He's out there.
And
literally,
I'm staying in the control room.
Yeah.
So yeah, man.
We even got the back door open for all you folks that like that.
Goddamn right.
We got a little breeze coming through.
It's a beautiful day.
Oh,
beautiful day
Central New York, man.
And Ben is a new father.
Oh.
His first.
Indeed, I am.
His first child.
Yeah, firstborn son.
When was he born? Exactly.
April 2nd. So today he is a month
1 month.
old. Yeah.
What'd you name him?
Celebration.
What'd you name him?
Wesley Rexford Minor.
Wesley.
Oh yeah, he's a handsome boy. He's a good chat.
So it's your mom's second grandchild, huh? Or is that what they call it?
Yeah. She's loving it.
So now it's got a cousin. He can play with his cousin.
Yeah, I guess.
Maybe
If my brother wasn't a dick.
Oh. I didn't.
Anyway.
Well, yeah.
Well, yeah, no, it's awesome. I like it.
Cool. And now,
I saw him over the summer. We went swimming up at Hatch Lake.
Oh yeah.
Because we went up there for
tell us.
Rasmussen's in town.
Yeah.
And
both of them?
Joel P.
Joel P. and Aaron? Joel P. don't do much?
Yeah, they both made it back this summer. They got to check out Shaka play.
Oh, they did?
A little bit. Aaron saw us down at Rita's that one night. And Joel popped his head in, but Joel's got some youngsters, too, that are
boy.
He's got to wrangle up.
He'll keep you out of trouble.
Yeah, so, that was the last time I saw him, though, up there. We were all swimming and hanging out, eating food. Played a little bit of music with Jeff, my dad. That was cool.
Jeffy.
Yeah. So, hey, did you want a drink or anything?
I got one.
You're all right?
Okay. He got one.
Beautiful. I wasn't sure.
I brought my own drink.
Nice.
Huh. Yeah, he brought his own guitar, too.
Yeah, man.
That's a plus.
So, yeah, this show, as you know, you've been listening to this show since we started way back in,
Benny.
2017.
Yeah, the JB snowboarding video with
yeah.
Oh No in the background.
Yeah.
That's a classic.
There's another one, the one that just been hitting the airwaves a lot lately. You're on there. I seen today. I looked at it. You're commenting on it. You comment on the.
Oh well, no, it was
right.
So I check like the analytics, because we're trying to grow this channel. Just a reminder to everybody out there, we're looking to get 1,000 subscribers.
That'll help.
It's just measly nothing in the world of YouTube.
Right.
But, if you could really just hit that subscribe button, maybe a like, add a comment.
Tell your cousin.
That would help us out. But so I check like the analytics of views and stuff, and
He's
for
in
some
the numbers.
reason. I looked at like the views in the last 48 hours, and somehow the dominant video was a video from March 17th of 2017. So it was it was like a way back episode. So I pulled it up and looked at it, and actually that's kind of an interesting thing that we should pull up that video just to see like the layout.
But Benny, I saw it today when I pulled it up when you sent me that thing. I listened to it for a bit, and then He's got comments underneath it about asking him to come here.
Yeah, way back when.
Yeah, 2017. Yeah.
When we were still trying to make, and back then we were only able to get together like once a week, and then.
Yeah, and we didn't even do it really live. Like we did it and we taped it, and then you'd put it out. Yeah.
And that ended up being mad, like post production that was like just made it so we couldn't get them out. It took me like a month to get out.
Watered it all down.
Yeah, so and then he'd edit it. But get wild.
So now, as you can see, we've advanced to live broadcast
with a lion,
and we've been running it daily for the last
48
days.
Ooh, would you look at that? We actually did it. We did it 48 days, but remember that Saturday before? So we skipped Sunday, but that Saturday, Johnny and I did it. We did with the last one Johnny did with us.
Right.
Remember when we were in the
Yeah, totally.
Where were we? The what's the building? We were at down there at the house, the Congress fucking. Remember we were sitting right in the fucking goddamn.
The shit goddamn.
Yeah, in the House of Congress.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
They let you in there?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
When you got a green screen.
When you got a press pass.
When you got a green screen, you do what
when you got
want.
the great JFK with you.
Tell him I'll give him $500 for that blazer. I ain't paying $2,000.
Oh, I know.
Yeah,
what the dude? I wanted it for $4. The tires are worth more than the blazer is.
Probably.
They are. No, there's no probably about it. He bought Mickey Thompson's for it.
Yeah, I think I seen them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is the whole thing a little rough? Is it?
Oh, it's
rough.
Yeah.
It's New York.
It's fucking beyond New York. Yeah.
$2,000.
Yeah.
Maybe somebody will get that with their stimulus check.
Yep.
You never know.
Yeah, they're coming in hot, them stimuluses.
Yeah. Spend it wisely, folks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Buy a gun.
Do something cool, yeah.
Get you a gun. What you got in there? You pulling something up?
I'm almost there because I got it. It was actually it's mAng and Neads Show from 3/12 of 2017.
What a date!
And
lo and behold.
And I'm gonna pull this in. Let's just listen to a little banter from us guys. I'm gonna just pick a spot in the middle.
Yeah, I go about.
Yeah, we're doing shots right here. This is a good spot. So we used to have shots used to be a part of our show.
Yeah, we used to drink on it.
You were drinking tequila on this day.
Yeah, we were. Don Corleone, I got. It was Don Q something.
Something about border jumpers, I believe.
Yeah, well, yeah.
A couple of them views are mine, probably.
Oh boy.
Yeah, so it's funny because once 48 shows, you can't possibly remember or recollect everything that we've talked about or said or all that stuff. So
not to mention 3 years ago.
Yeah, not to mention 3 years in general. But let's say we're just gonna.
So we got Johnny on here,
and
right?
So I guess bringing Johnny back in
Johnny's
the show
voice.
today, special deal.
Oh,
it's about 14 minutes in. Looks like things are getting hot.
Yeah. I'm gonna whack them.
Yogurt from the goat's milk all the time. And when I was a child,
but he had to add stuff to it, John.
But this organic farm,
we're doing the goat milk
craze or whatever. I was fortunate enough to grow up this way.
Rolling.
My dad was awesome.
Let me tell you something. You ain't the only one that got to have goat's milk. I lived next to Eddie Caputo. We had a goat stanchion.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, are we having another little Jimmy episode here? What's going on?
Now we're
there's a little bit of a difference between growing up in the woods of Shenango Lake and growing up in the Hamptons with a fucking goat that milks.
I just had to adapt to where I was.
I'm telling you.
Just like you did.
I'm just telling you that this is how dairy has not impacted my life because when I was younger, I was obviously allergic to that's how this all started, man. Just a simple conversation.
But you are not
lactose intolerant.
Let me ask you something.
And now
the yogurt you eat now?
Jimmy on me.
Whatever happened to those white headphones?
No. I don't know. They were hot.
That's not what
We lost them.
The things we lost in the fire.
So yeah, that was just a little clip of that. So as you can see, the layout that we used to have, we just man, the whole place was decorated like
we had a beautiful table too, man.
We had a table.
I miss that plastic
table. Look how close
table.
we were. This was back when social distancing wasn't a thing.
Right. 2017.
Yeah.
You couldn't just catch herpes from sitting next to the guy.
Had to get it the old-fashioned way.
Yeah, had to get it the old-fashioned way. Little puff.
Oh, that's good shit.
Uncle Sucky.
All right, Benny, you ready to give us another song?
Ben, do you have a song for us?
I got a song.
Oh,
All right.
Buckshots Brother. You're gonna theme this song in.
Well, this one's a song, I guess.
Is this an oldie?
Yeah, it's an oldie.
All right.
It's definitely an oldie. It's a little,
It's older
little
than
Lester
us.
Flats and Earl Scruggs.
Oh.
Let's do that.
We gotta get her fucking ready.
Thought I had seen pretty girls in my time. That was before I met you. Never saw one that I wanted for mine. That was before I met you. Thought I was swinging the world by the tail. Thought I could never be blue. Thought I'd been kissed, you know, I thought I'd been loved. That was before I met you. Wanted to ramble, always be free. That was before I met you. Said that no woman could ever hold me. That was before I met you. Thought I was swinging the world by the tail. Thought I could never be blue. Thought I'd been kissed, you know, I thought I'd been loved. That was before I met you. Well, they tell me I must reap just what I have sown. Darling, I hope it's not true. Once I made plans about living alone. That was before I met you. Thought I was swinging the world by the tail. Thought I could never be blue. Thought I'd been kissed, you know, I thought I'd been loved. That was before I met you. I got to tune my guitar, man.
Hey.
Yeah.
No, it sounded good, man. Another one.
Can you turn my mic for guitar off?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Tune it up, buddy.
Gotcha.
Tune it
That
up.
was rough, bro.
Tune it in.
Oh,
Oh man.
sorry about that, folks.
Yeah.
I'm put my glasses back on.
Yeah. Old Toonie.
All right. Hey, man, I love it. This is an excellent addition to the show, without a doubt. And just the fact that I'm able to capture this, too, and we can break it down different. It's going to be awesome, man.
It is
Keep
gonna
'em
be
coming.
awesome.
Keep them coming. The whole songs. The
Yeah.
more, the merrier.
We gotta make a contact the great knowledgeable.
Ryan Warner.
Oh.
See what he thinks of us
We're gonna get him down here to sing a couple.
getting the. Oh, yeah. No, great knowledge. Well, whenever you say great and knowledgeable, it's always Ryan. The
Right.
great and knowledgeable.
Well, yeah. I mean, well, I don't know about the knowledgeable part, but the great part we got right.
I think he's knowledgeable.
He is. He is.
And
He
he
is.
is and he's very easy to talk to person.
He is definitely.
like you said, sometimes gets him into trouble with certain people because he lets people talk to him and he's polite.
Yeah, he likes an audience, though. You know what I mean? He likes it. He listens and is polite to everybody, and then he get them, step on their foot and talk to them for an hour and a half. Give them the old talking to.
The old what for?
Yeah.
Yeah. What for?
What for?
So,
Benny, what was the whole birthing experience like?
Well, I said I wasn't gonna watch, but I did
oh,
watch.
you guys pervert.
Yeah. It's fucking crazy, man.
Is it intense?
Yeah.
Now this
I
happened
think-
during the COVID-19, right?
Yeah, he's a
So-
COVID-19 baby. Yeah, they wouldn't let me out of the hospital room once I was in there. There was no snack machine or nothing like that.
Oh
for me,
no.
so.
Oh,
Yeah, it was a little rough, but
Just-
yeah,
Benny and placenta.
it looked like it hurt.
I bet. Oh, you looked right at it?
Oh, yeah, dude.
You looked at her.
Oh yeah.
She was crowning right out, huh?
Yeah.
Here comes little baby.
Yeah, there was a kid in there. It was
Like
crazy.
when Josh eats too much cheese.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, cheesy.
But I'm glad
And
I
he's
did.
got
I'm
a
glad I did watch.
I don't even
No.
eat cheese. I hardly ever eat cheese. It's so funny.
It's
though.
awful.
It
taken
is
some
so
big
funny.
poops in my
You're gonna
day.
get
but-
punched
It's
by
so
somebody. for
yeah,
that
somebody gonna cheese you. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's interesting
one. Yeah.
to watch a human being come out of a human being.
Right.
Hey, we got him.
Who?
Warner's
Somebody-
calling
He heard his
He
name.
heard his
He's
cue.
pissed. He's fucking. That fucker need him. He's down
in.
there.
You're live on the mAng and Neads Show.
I couldn't even tell what show it was, man.
Can't hear him, man.
The changes. That was great, man. I just tuned in when
Still can't hear him.
on during that last song.
Yeah.
Oh,
Awesome,
man.
man.
Yeah, so I
you got to hear our
I
commentary
got it.
then.
Yeah, we heard a little commentation. Did you see the old show? That one that we pulled up? That was good.
That's right. Because I couldn't. I was like, damn. I was like, Johnny Camp came out of hiding and he went straight to the mAng and Neads Show. I'm like, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Like, what's happening with people?
Well, what I was saying was that I looked for some reason that show had like more views in the last 2 days than it's had in its entirety of like existence. So it was kind of like it was almost a heavy hitter in the last couple days on the shows. So it was it was just it was funny. So I looked it up and I'm like, what is this show? And then yeah, and then I listened to it for a little bit. But
It's
even
pure
that,
gold. Is
dude,
what
when
it
I
is.
just pulled up that one clip though,
It's pure gold.
it was just you guys talk about goat's milk and getting
Yeah.
into it. That was pretty good. So that was just a chunk of it. I imagine there's some other good stuff in there.
There is.
Nice, man.
Yeah. We miss Johnny. We wish he would call in.
Yeah, I don't know if we do, but
Yeah, right.
Lord God.
That would be.
I
See,
mean,
that's the knowledgeable part. I would put that on. I'd put that on JFK.
well, I mean, he's knowledgeable to a point. He
He is, man.
He's got a lot going on too with it all. He's
Well, your knowledge doesn't affect your decision making.
right. Yeah.
Now he's
if
gonna
I had
have
$1
to call.
for every time I was doing something I knew I shouldn't be. You know?
Right. Yeah.
If you guys ride his ass, he's gonna have to call and put up some
No,
kind
he's one of them
defense.
guys. He'll just wait. He just waits it out.
He's like, I don't need to defend myself in the YouTube world.
Yeah.
I
Well,
just
we're
Oh,
do
not-
it
Jesus.
Facebook.
There's no. Yeah. Just get on Facebook and write a fucking book to someone. Yeah. Shame him on Facebook. What are you doing
Heck,
down
you
there,
know what?
Warner?
You could really get him, Josh, is if you went to his Facebook right now
Yeah.
and seen how many comments he makes while the show's live.
Right.
And then we can call him out on this too busy in his work day.
Oh, he's not
To
too
give
Well,
good.
now
us
you
a
just
call.
showed him your hand. He knows the play.
Right, but he's already. He
Yeah,
definitely knows the
so
play.
so he'll have to not post for 2 hours.
Right.
But
That's what he'll do.
Yeah, Johnny, if you're listening, don't post for
For
2 hours.
hours.
It'll be our code.
Yeah.
Yeah, but now we know if he doesn't post in 2 hours, it's just because we said that. So
Right.
That's what I'm saying. You showed our hand.
Yeah.
we don't
You showed
need
him our playbook, bro.
we don't need to look at the future. We can just look at the past. We've been running this thing for 48 days. You know.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, too late. Too late to change now.
Yeah, it's official.
Shit's documented. Did you get that baby tuned up there, Ben?
I think so.
Nice. Not that I noticed, man. I don't have one of those ears. I don't have one of those unfortunate ears, is what I call it. The people that can hear every little tone, and then so when
I just want to know, how do the people know what key you think you want to be in?
no,
Right?
I
Yeah.
guess you
What?
Yeah,
That's the beauty of
exactly.
music.
No,
It
there's
is
more.
what you wanted.
There is a bit of a science. There is a bit of a science to it.
Yeah.
As far as you can be in. It still has to be in tune with itself.
Right.
Yeah, it can be out of tune.
Out
just
of tune, but
with
in
itself.
tune.
We're getting deep. Are we still talking about guitars? here?
Yeah,
We are,
were,
yeah.
but
Oh, okay.
We could.
Yeah.
We could
Warner's a
shift
guitar
that.
tech.
Yes?
Yeah.
So you want to fix this thing so it stays in tune?
So yeah, Ryan. So
Yeah,
I was. Yeah, man. So I thought this was it was perfect. Josh said he talked to Ben that he was willing to come in today. It triggered me to reach out to some people too to get a little rotation, and then it threw in there.
Now we got
also
that fucking lion in the background,
that,
Warner.
But here's the other
Jesus.
thing, Ryan. You know, it'd be really cool, man. Is why don't you come down? We'll clear the space out. Maybe you can do that. The color ad.
Maybe you can add some fucking
live
color to
on
that
a,
thing.
on a mAng and Neads show.
What about yellow,
What
man?
do you think of that?
Well, it's gonna have to be a while. I got my
Oh yeah, you're well.
my
I'm st-
mom's coming back to live with us, so we're doing hard quarantine,
Oh wow. Okay.
which is strange, man. It's like I don't know what it is. I don't know if it was the weather or what happened, but nothing changed in New York State, right? They didn't open up at all, did they?
No. In fact, schools
Well,
got shut down, so they
Yeah,
crushed
that's what I
that.
mean. So people are taking it upon themselves to just decide that, we've quarantined long enough. We're obviously not sick. I'm going to go walk into my neighbor's house. You know what I'm
Oh.
saying? We had, one of our, good friends just, came right in the garage, right in the back door, open up the back door.
Warner's favorite, the back.
It's like Jesus, man, and it just like the fear is real because it's the unpredictableness. Like, what are people thinking? And the common denominator is that two people, another person came up on the porch, tried to shake Emmett's hand, leaned over our block,
Yeah, that's nuts.
our gate. And because I taught him how to shake hands, it was like a big deal. I mean, shake
Yeah.
everyone's hand from like a baby.
And he does.
And he smacks it in there. It's a great one. And so it's tough to tell him that you can't do it now. But yeah, man, one of our neighbors reached right over, tried to shake his hand.
Did you fucking
it's-
smack him? The person?
Oh man. Well,
Well,
you gotta,
whack
they're
him with a
older.
p-
I don't
So-
want, it's
so obviously that
You
That
need to
is
get
a-
a pillow and hit him with it.
But that is an interesting topic because obviously that's a concern. Is that what I kind of brought it up a little bit, but I don't think I got it out like I wanted to. I think that we are not the reason why we have the rules we have is because for the most part people are unable to like do that little bit. They like some people are just huggers and they like visit a lot of people, so they can't cut those things out of their like of their life. You know what I mean?
Right.
So there's certain people that are like, I'm not even gonna say any names, but somebody they'd be like, they'd be
Love
like,
it.
you're not one of those people that don't hug, are you? You're not one of those people, are you? Like
I'm
and they're
one of the
like,
people that
they-
try to fucking
and they're
stay
like
away
in their
from
and
it
in their
all.
head they're like, I need to hug the people when I see them, and you're like,
No.
that is the part that doesn't make any sense, and then they don't get it. So then you're thinking, if that person's hugging this person that's not like their direct
Hugger.
a person that you necessarily just hug right away.
Right.
I don't know,
Yeah, your hug dealer. They're
I'm-
going.
you
Yeah,
know,
no,
I've
I got the
given
same
Josh
line, man.
I've given Josh a hug before, but that's like if I hadn't seen him in like a
In
year.
fucking
and I
8
run
years,
into him in
ran
the
into
store or
me.
some shit like
Yeah,
that.
that's the only.
But
And you're the
man-
only person I don't know.
Yeah, he's not a hugger. He
no
doesn't hug, man.
Fuck that shit.
Hug
It's
it
like
out,
hugging
bro. Hug
Gabe
it
from
out.
The Office.
Yeah, I've never seen him, but I'm sure
Yeah,
I know. That's why I could get away with saying it.
Yeah.
So then it says to me, well, if you're hugging this person or you're hugging me, then you're hugging this. You're hugging everybody. So
like
you're actually the one, which means your own, inability to not hug people.
It's like a slut hugger, right? Like a whore hugger.
And we digress.
He's the whore of hugging.
And they try to guilt you into it, man.
Yeah, fuck that.
A kid came over here and he's like, "You're not one of them 6 feet people, are you?"
Motherfucker, I am.
Dude, that's the line. You're not one of them.
Yeah, I'm like, I don't know how long's my leg, and I send out a fucking kick.
Yeah, fucking how'd that feel in your dick, buddy? Yeah,
You're not one of those people that want to die, are you?
Yeah, I'm one of them
It's
everything
like, what the
people.
fuck?
I'm one of them like fuck everything. Fuck it. I don't need a hug. I don't need to be you can hear me from 7-8 feet away. Like
Yeah,
come on,
definitely.
you get it. Like they get it. Like
Space cast.
no, but they get right up to you. Next thing you know, like you were saying, next thing you know, they went from being 6 feet away, they're right there standing shoulder to shoulder with you.
Even before the hug.
Yeah.
Before they ask you for the hug, you're like, might as well. We're this close.
You already been breathing on my fucking hair. What the?
Yeah, might as well kiss the tongue, man.
Yeah.
We're doing it.
Might as well tongue you.
And,
It might be my last day on earth.
Yeah, holy shit.
but it is one of those things where we're not all people like that kind of need people like that. Most of us re-energize being alone. The different kinds of people.
I love being alone, man.
Yeah.
Shit, dude. That's like a fucking hobby to me. I've
It's not that.
I
but
tried
it's
to
not
do
that
that
I
my
don't-
whole life.
But it's not that I don't like people either.
Oh, I like people.
I enjoy being around people, especially like you
But
guys and my friends. and
Right.
people that I can like talk to and not,
But I could do without seeing you for a day or two.
Yeah. I like to be alone too, though. I like.
Yeah. So in
Yeah.
that whole perspective, it's like, but some people are just like, I need to see my friends every day,
Yeah.
and that makes it difficult. So
Because the motherfuckers ain't thinking right or something. Jesus.
well, they're just
I mean, you don't
it's
need it.
different people, you know?
Right, but they either feel the need for attention all the time or that they need to give someone attention all the time. So,
No, well,
and
that's,
I don't feel that need.
I would say that's right. That's from your perspective.
Well,
But,
I mean, it's got to be
like,
one of those
I'm saying,
things,
like,
right?
Who you are makes you think about it like that, but who they are makes them think about it in a different way. That's kind of
Well,
something
let's
that-
ask the doctor. What's the doctor think?
Okay, so society as a whole is we're a communication like species. Like we have to communicate. That's why we have elaborate math that is universal and languages that are able to be translated. As like a race, as a human race, we need connection between people. You need verification. You need status. You need to know where you stand. In a room of people. That's why busting balls can turn like evil sometimes because someone feels the need. They need to like take someone down a peg and all that shit. But that's just society as a whole. But the proof is, in a prison with rapists and murderers and evil people, the worst thing you can do to someone is put them in a room alone by themselves.
Right.
That's the punishment in the prison full of murderers, is to extract you from the murderers and the danger and put you in a room by yourself. And that's a proven thing. Like people would rather, they can't wait to get out of the hole.
Yeah.
I try to sound real smart because you called me a doctor, but
Right. No.
no, I think you did well.
Yeah. You did.
But I'm wondering, do you think that you would handle well in like an isolation chamber like that?
Well, let me tell you something. I've got throat in one of them.
Joshy's behind.
mandatory for 48 hours, isn't it?
It was a little longer than that, but hey, it's all right. I mean, you don't want to spend 6 months in one of them by yourself with no
I mean,
communication.
we've
really.
all, none of us have ever, experienced it to that extent. But I imagine you'd start hallucinating or something.
Well, no. Listen. Sometimes though they take your. Sometimes they take your blanketing and all that away, and that is to fuck with your head and shit.
Makes you mean.
That shit's to mess with your brain and stuff like that. That's where it starts getting mental.
That's where you
And
start.
you
making
already
friends with the
don't have
mice and
socks,
shit.
so Josh is just really just starting off with 2 feet in the hole.
I did I don't give a fuck. I did a little it was 43 days, but the difference is when they had to separate, right? And it just so happened to be like I ended up being alone in the thing for, it was like 40 something days, but I had like I had my things though, or my clothes and my blanket and stuff like that. It wasn't one of them deals where you don't have anything, but there was no people.
Well, so in a whole day you don't talk to anyone at all?
One of the guards would come by, and they bring you your food or whatever and shit like that.
Wow.
But
So how
there was people on the
But
other.
I think that's how people are feeling now. What are the chances of that? We're on. What are we? How many days? 47.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
well,
we're
48.
48
today.
You know, people are
48
going
days.
crazy, and they still have other people in their house. Man, they've got cellmates.
right.
Yeah, all those things. Yeah, like the people are on each other's
All right.
nerves, all that stuff.
Nerve-wracking.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think that would definitely be a tough one.
On all that, you got another
But that's
song
what's
for us,
happening
Benny?
now, man.
Do I?
Yeah, you got a song
Yeah.
for
Well,
us?
that's obviously why
I got
people are getting
songs
out.
for you.
Yeah, let's go. Let's do it.
This is
Sorry, I got to catch up.
one I play.
So yeah, you like the light on that? We did,
Oh,
all
so
right, we
now,
got two.
well, I can talk to you about it when we come back from the song. But that light that's a thing. You can do some real crazy shit with that light,
Yeah,
man.
that was a
Yeah.
great idea. Such a great
It's so cool
idea.
because right now, well, I'll talk about it.
All right,
All right.
The-
Play a song, and then you come back and talk about the lion.
all that stuff.
all right,
Sounds good.
brother. All right,
Rolling.
talk to you in a bit.
You're up,
You're
Buckshot.
on, Ben.
Yeah, I'll
brother.
just stand by.
Sick of breaking my back at a dead-end job. Working all week long for some rich slog. Makes me wanna go out now, steal and rob. Cause the minimum wage, it just don't get me none. Lately things don't seem the same, and telling me that it's all bound to change. I've been traveling, I've been moving on these days, just to find me in the same old place. And I don't know who's to blame. Whether it's your fault, whether it's my fault, it's all the same. And why do you always gotta run your mouth? You like to talk a lot about something you don't know nothing about. You don't know how bad I wanna come over there and knock you out. And the whole time going around talking about something they don't know nothing about. Time can be wasted and it can be saved. Take it with you where you're going anyway. Don't know why you get so upset when people say don't mean much, it don't mean a fucking thing. And why do always gotta run your mouth. You don't know how bad I wanna come over there and knock you out.
Yeah. All right.
Woo!
Nice, man. Thanks, Ben.
It's kind of like playing at the bar where nobody applauds after I'm done with a song.
That's how it goes.
Yeah.
Oh, that's the standard, man.
Yeah, yeah. A couple times I've been there. Yeah, I wrote that one.
Nice.
Yeah. Yeah, it is classic. Trademark. Also for sale. You want to buy it? You know anybody buying songs out there in this world?
Where's old Warner at? Oh, there he is. My
Sorry,
old
buddy.
buddy. The old Ryan Buddy Warner.
Sorry,
That's me,
Ryan, you
man.
with me?
Yeah,
Sorry,
can you hear me?
man. I had you muted there for
Oh,
a second.
that's
I didn't mean- I
unbelievable.
muted
That's all right.
everything.
I was
Yeah.
muted myself.
right, cool.
Fucking mute. Goddamn mute.
That's a good song, man.
He wrote that. It's original.
It sounds. I mean, Josh, that sounds. What's the other guy? Tyler Childers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like that, man. Like
You're comparing
I
to
would have.
him?
I thought it was a cover
Tyler's-
song, man.
Tyler
You
stole
wrote
it
your
from-
song first, didn't
Yeah,
you,
Benny wrote his first, man.
Yeah, I'm older than he is.
Yeah, you are. So- we all are, actually.
That's good, man. I just paused it. It was gonna be like my favorite part, and I was listening, live on my the delay on my iPad. There's
Try
better
to slow
sound
that
or whatever.
down. It doesn't look like it.
But then I
slowed
heard you
down.
guys come back, so I had to stop it right before he said, "You make me want to come over there and knock you out." That's the best.
Yeah.
I'm like, I wonder how many people have wrote songs like that about me.
Yeah, man. So, dude, what do you think, man? That's like basically the only thing I do have a better camera, but that I had just picked up to be for that image out there. Although it's really not bad, but I just had an adapter that I got to get a hold of first. And, usually I would have ordered that shit on Amazon day one, but I'm still playing that little bit of holding back on non-essential purchasing. But it is
Right.
kind of essential now, for sure.
That light is awesome, man.
Yeah.
It really
So-
is good. What I was going to say is, if you do paint the lion in colors, let's say like Josh was saying, yellow. So picture a yellow section. When a red light shines on yellow, you see orange. When a
Right.
red light shines on blue, you see purple. A red light shines on red, you don't see anything. It goes away. It doesn't look like any color at all because everything is overshadowed with like red,
Yeah.
right?
I was trying to mess with the adjustment to make it slower, but it kind of sped up. I was trying to get the shift to be a slower version. But what's cool about that is, remember when I told you that, I had that one experience and ended up, just seeing the thing breathing. And that's kind of what it's,
You
that's
text me
kind of
like
what
3
it's,
a.m.
yeah, that's kind of what it's doing right now. It's kind of like going through those, that color morph, that was going on. That was just,
Yeah, see, so the neat thing is, like, that's black and white, so it's like a sterile background of color. You know what I mean? It doesn't have any color. It's just black and white, so you only see the light that's shining on it, man. But I'm surprised it doesn't do more, like when it shines on like Benny, like on his guitar or something like that. It should change color.
well, there's actually two lights. So the other one is kind of a still. There's just one color, and it's almost like white, it seems, but it is three colors. So I guess all three of the colors must kind of form
Right.
a normal.
But yeah, his orange guitar, the orange in his guitar would interact with the different color lights shining on
Yeah.
it. Josh, you were there. Remember the Gorge when the girl that had that real long Mercedes Sprinter van, the white one? Yeah. She's like a Reiki. Yeah. Met her on the first night.
Yes, he remembers. He's adjusting shit over there.
She had a flashlight that did that, except it was like super power LED flashlight. And she's like, "Oh, you don't know about like whatever it's called? There's like a name for that, the light, the science of light or whatever whatever that is, spectrum something." And she shines it on my paintings that are all different colors. and literally blew my mind. I'd never seen anything like it. It's the same thing that you have now. I'm just in the dark, man.
Ooh, that's a cool color right there, man. Wow. That purple. I don't know what it just froze on that color. I need a fucking mic in my... He needs a mic. He's yelling right now, trying to be heard. Poor guy. Ben? Cut his mic. That's like the end of the world. I can hear everything. That's
Josh?
Right. Yeah, he can hear, but he can't say anything. So now's your chance.
Oh, that's hilarious, man. Yeah. And he's talking about people just need to be seen, need to be heard. I mean, don't take my mic away.
From 8 fucking feet away.
Whatever you do, don't take my mic away.
Oh yeah.
Also, I got that record app.
You did.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. So cool, man. So easy.
Yeah, so now you can just pull up any like clips. You can do it on even like little video things you like, you know. And you can email them too. You can use that Google Drive. That's why I was telling you the other end is that once those files are huge, like when you have huge files, you just send them through your Google Drive instead of your like Gmail.
Huge.
Yeah, I always end up sending them through Gmail.
Yeah, and then it'll tell you like sometimes it'll say it's too big, and then it automatically throws it through the
she's a bit
like on a PC big. I think it automatically goes to the Gmail, but on your phone I think you have to send it through your like using Gmail, like when you say send instead of saying Gmail.
Fuck's all that wreck? Are you over there getting ready to operate on somebody, Warner?
So that's why it's
sound like you're getting the tools out, guys.
What does it sound like when you get ready to operate?
I don't know. It sounded like you had
a recognizable noise.
Yeah, it sounded like you dropped your scalpel or you had your shears. You were getting a drill out to drill through their skull to cut an artery or something. I don't fucking know what the hell. It just sounded like tin on tin or steel.
Yeah, you're right, man. You're right. I used tongs, a knife. I didn't use anything else, so no drill.
Oh, well, I was right.
At least I learned, the only thing I learned not to do is to stop sanding things.
Right. Well, it sounds like when you're doing the sanding, it sounds like you're fucking just shredding cardboard is what it sounds like on our end.
I zoomed you in and I gave you the main. So now you got it.
Oh, I got it.
Full main.
Yeah.
You are the lion.
I'm here. I'm moving. I got the horse head. I got the mane.
That's how you got to grow your hair.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's definitely some apocalypse hair right there. If you had
apocalypse.
Yeah, Josh's whole look is like one of the dudes that like hangs off the side of the apocalypse vehicles, like the Mad Max vehicles. Like he would be driving,
firing,
he'd probably be like, take the wheel, and like jump out,
firing the gun in the air, right? The fucking Tommy gun.
Sawed-off shotgun.
I think that we're gonna witness how fashion transforms into that. It's gonna turn into like scarcity. So people are going to be like, you know, decorating old school, you know, leather jackets with stuff, you know, and like
Mad Max.
Yeah, dude, Mad Max is going to come to life, and we're all going to.
Is it too soon to put my Mad Max outfit on?
Yeah, it's true though, because it's we're all thinking it. Josh is playing it. He's getting his hair all. He's been getting it ready with the spring mullet.
Well, I just brought the top back to where the great Ryan Warner had it last year.
Oh yeah.
But I didn't trim the back. I didn't feel like I needed to trim the back. I figured, fuck it.
No, it's just a phase. You don't want that haircut all the time. Josh looked some kind of Swedish engineer when you gave him a haircut because he has that like that flip over. You know what I mean? Like that perfect curl, the tube wave.
Yeah, the wave. Yeah, that's what we call it around here, the wave.
Doo-wop.
So I don't.
Watch your show, bud.
I like to go with. I don't like to hang on to a haircut too long. You know. The same haircut. I'll bring the hat back next year. The old winter hat.
Winter hat.
I don't let that.
That's right.
Yeah,
winter
I don't. Spring. I had that fucking. Well, it's a spring beanie. I had that fucker on.
8 years.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Fucking hipster.
8 years. Yeah, baby. I had
during basketball games.
Yeah.
During corporate league basketball, wearing a beanie.
Fuck yeah.
Is it a beanie? What is it? What do they call it?
It's a summer beanie, the one I would wear in basketball and in 100-degree weather. That one's a summer beanie. It's not as thick, a knitted pattern, and it's got lots of breathe holes. I mean, and you could definitely tell the difference if you wear one of them summer ones in the winter. Your ears like fucking freeze, like it doesn't do shit for you. It's not like a winter hat. It just
But you look cool.
It looks like a winter hat. Well, I don't wear it in the winter. I wear it in the fucking summer. It's a summer beanie. I'm not,
Do-rag.
Well, it's not a.
Well, you don't wear it anymore at all.
No, I don't wear it, man. Ever since I got the spring back. I got the spring back in my step. Papa's back.
Hercules.
Got my spring.
Oh wait,
back.
no, that was his tendon. Who's the one
Yeah.
that had the power in his hair?
Yeah, I know.
That was another guy.
Yeah.
Samson. Simpson.
Oh shit.
Where'd you get your haircut? Right near the beach. Boy.
So, hey, Benny, itching for another song?
Yeah,
man?
you got another tune?
Yeah.
Oh, you do?
I got songs.
All right.
Man.
Play us one.
Which ones did I play already?
You played.
Oh, no, I know. I know what I'm going to play.
Don't touch my pecker to yours.
Oh, why don't we play some Ben Wayne?
Okay.
Yeah.
Our brother
Warner's
Ben.
favorite.
What is it?
Ben Wayne flagged us on. Ben Wayne flagged us when we played that clip from the snowboarding video.
Did you say flag?
Yeah, CD Baby.
Well, it doesn't. Yeah, CD Baby, which it represents his song, must be.
Yeah.
Wait, flagged like it was flagged like in a bad way?
Well,
no, well they.
Yes.
It's no, because you don't get any dings against your like.
But if we
YouTube
make
account.
money, they're gonna take it.
Not all of it. They
Oh.
would get like if the video.
They're 10 cents,
Yeah.
and then we'll kick them in the dick.
But it was his choice. He's like, oh, these guys can't play my shit.
No, I don't think it is
No.
their choice. I
It's
think like
CD
it would
Baby's
go like
choice.
that for like any like if we. That's why we have to play Sonic Gardens music and original performed music, like in the
Right.
house.
Like when we played that song from that.
Most songs like cover
podcast the other
songs.
day.
Cover songs might get tagged like even, but usually not unless they're like something you can run through an audio track that'll like match it up like exactly. So if you're doing a song just like, but
We did get tossed for one of them too, right? That
but if
Miracle song, right, or some shit. From
no, Coltrane.
Coltrane.
Yeah, there was Coltrane, but there was also any Zeppelin. Like we did a couple Zeppelin
Oh,
covers.
boy.
Zeppelin.
Fuck Zeppelin.
And you see some places they say you're allowed to use it. It's not going to ding against your account, but we will collect monetization if it makes money, which we don't make any money.
Yeah.
Maybe someday.
We're
But,
broke as a fucking joke.
1,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
But we
That's
are
all
shooting
need.
for that 1,000 subscribers.
Yeah.
So if you
Tell
can help
your
us
friends,
get there,
Warner.
we can get it on some ad revenue. That's
Make
going
your
around.
son a YouTube account.
And then also once you hit that mark, they kind of help you boost your channel too. So they start, adding you into more impressions and abilities, finding more of your niche, But in the beginning, it's up to us to like build our audience and try and make this thing.
All right, so
happen.
what do you? Go ahead.
So,
Go ahead, Buckshots Brother.
So am I allowed to play that song?
Oh yeah,
Oh.
definitely.
Oh yeah, so all I was saying was Zeppelin. Usually like Zeppelin tunes will cut the video and they won't let you.
Yeah, there'll be no.
And you're not that douchey to cover a
there'll be
Zeppelin
no
song,
Stairway
anyways.
to Heaven
Yeah,
here,
no
you know?
fucking
All right.
Oh, man.
backdoor Bobby.
And I'm
for
not
us.
sure which other ones, but go for it. Whatever you want.
Come on, darling, say we got to pay the rent. Come on, darling, say we got to pay the rent. Know your money be well spent. Know your money you will be heaven sent. Say, come on, darling, we got to pay the rent. Come on, darling, say we got to pay the rent. Know your money be well spent. Your money it will be heaven sent. Said they lock me up for dealing and stealing and feeling well. Session is a lesson straight, landing me in jail. And I said, no, Mr. Officer, I can't enforce no bail. It's time you realize the police for sale and let them go. I know you want 'em, Stockholm on the stereo. Know you wanna hear my Stockholm on the radio. I know you wanna feel my Stockholm on the stereo. Radio, now let it go. Darling said we got to pay the rent. Come on, darling said we got to pay the rent. I get my money how I can. I get my money, I don't work for the man. Said, now come on, darling, we got to pay the rent. Come on, darling, said we got to pay the rent. Money be well spent. Your money here will be heaven sent. Said they locked me up for stealing, feeling well. Session is the lesson, straight landed me in jail. And I said, no, Mr. Officer, I can't enforce no bail. It's time you realize the police for sale, now let it go. I know you want to feel my Stockholm on the stereo. Know you want to hear my Stockholm on the radio. I know you want to feel my Stockholm on the stereo. The radio, let it go. I know you want to feel my Stockholm on the stereo. Know you want to feel my Stockholm. I know you want to feel my Stockholm on the stereo. Radio, let it go. Yes, my friend, my good friend, said we live on the street again. I said not yes, my friend, good friend, said we free again. And if you have a buck, let me tell you this, I'm a dopey conqueror, conqueror. And I said, nah, yes, my friend, good friend, said we live on the street again. I said, now yes, my friend, good friend, said we free again. Come on down and pay the rent. Come on down and say it's time to pay the rent. Know your money be well spent. Your money here will be heaven sent. Now come on down and say we got to pay the rent. Come on down and say we got to pay the rent. Your money be well spent. Money here will be heaven sent.
All right.
Yeah. Gotta clap.
That's right. We need the
Clap track.
We need the clap track.
I got unhooked.
I didn't bring my iPad. I gotta get that one.
Woo.
Yeah, thanks, Ben.
Thanks.
Thank you again.
Oh,
Thanks for
thank
coming.
you
Thanks
guys.
for joining the cast, man. I hope you're having a good
Oh,
time.
I'm always having a good time, guys.
We ain't
Always.
boring you too much.
No. God.
Oh yeah. How about you, Warner? You bored?
Oh, I was just about to complain, but I'm hanging in there.
Imagine.
No, this is awesome, man. This is cool. I like it a lot, man.
Yeah, nice add-on, I think, to the show for sure.
Very good. It's a very good add-on.
So,
we're gonna have we've got another quarantine guest tomorrow.
we do. We have Mr. Nate Collins coming in. I don't know what songs he plans on doing. Hopefully, but man, anything he does, it's gonna be awesome. He's got and I think Chris is gonna be playing with him. Probably gonna do a little two-piece swang. See what happens.
From separate rooms.
Oh yeah.
Chris
Well,
is going to
actually,
be back in his corner.
well, actually, no. As you can see in the left side, his keyboard is set up, and it is a fairly big.
Oh, there. Okay.
area.
I was wondering what that was. I just thought that was a bunch of equipment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, Nate.
But they're not gonna get us sick though, so that's the
Yeah, Nate.
positive.
Well, here's the thing. Nate Nate really swears that he had it, man. I'm gonna talk to him more about it tomorrow and see.
Well, I mean, I know people that think they saw Jesus, but
Well, yeah, except for he does, and it was right around Valentine's, mid-February, which means definitely possible.
right.
That's crazy, man. Because that's, I said the same thing. I had the same, especially after you talked to Jess Caputo,
Yeah.
like her husband, was like, whatever, and she got real bad symptoms. I mean, Jesus, if it wasn't that bad, I mean, I had pretty bad symptoms. And it sounds like it could have been even not as bad as that, and it still could have been COVID.
Right.
But who knows, man?
COVID operations, man.
Fucking government.
Yeah, fucking government.
God damn it.
Got us again.
Well, we don't know.
Right. No, we don't know nothing. Oh, we don't?
Well, there's always the far-fetched idea that this is like the super slow play, that this is even beyond bad, and it's like they're just slow playing until
I'm fully confident.
like we're gonna see it in 5 years. We'll look back and go, holy shit,
It's been 5 years.
It's been
Right.
5 years. Remember
I
when
need
we
new
used
spikes for my shoulder pads.
Yeah. What place haven't we fucking ravaged that we can go get
Yeah.
some
some beans.
some beans? I feel confident though if that does happen.
Okay, so
that
then you look at all the positive things about people's lives.
we have a
just
couple good spots.
minor things in mind. Like I've had a problem with
People?
with lazily eating out and wasting money like almost every meal every day for several years.
Some of us don't have.
Hey, you're paying people's paychecks, man, because I don't do it.
But since
Taking one for the team.
but the
Well, we
reason
do it when
why
we're on the road.
but then now that the whole quarantine and having to cook, and then even more, having to like feed my son too, which he's like a growing boy, so I can't like
God forbid. you had
be
to
like
feed
peanut
your
butter
own
and
kid.
jelly sandwich every freaking meal. Although he basically eats like crap anyway, but
What a cat.
but no, it like forced me to really like. It's not that I couldn't cook or I wasn't capable. It was that I just was kind of lazy about it,
Maybe
it
that's
was-
your next step in life.
But
Restaurant.
even beyond like eating better, I was just it's a lot of money wasted on paying more than you need to pay for
And
food.
then you got a tip.
Yeah, you don't waste anything.
Yeah, so there's like less weight, when it was either way, and I had the choice to go out, like I said, I'd waste all the food in my fridge. All of a sudden the meat would be going bad and I'd be throwing it in the garbage.
You know what I do? I
Or,
just quit eating meat. And
I'd
don't
make-
go bad.
Don't eat meat.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, I'm not like, it's not crazy obsessive thing, but
You can eat goat
man,
cheese.
I'll tell you what, I just
like Johnny.
nailed my favorite dish though, the mAng chicken.
Oh.
I got the
guess
right,
what?
the right ingredients with coconut milk and this like
Guess what?
yo.
I don't eat chicken.
Well, whatever. It's not the chicken, it's the sauce. So you put the shrimp. I say chicken because it's like
Well,
that's-
when we
I
get-
do like the chicken.
Well,
in
when
it,
you
but
when we get
you
a
can
nice
do the shrimp.
when we get a kitchen down here, you'll have to make me the shrimp your
Shrimp
your new
penne.
dish.
Sure,
Fucking
man.
A,
Cooking
man.
show.
But I was so happy because I'm
Don't make it too good for me,
This-
or I'll expect it once a week.
This has been like my favorite dish for over 10 years, and like anytime I get a chance in Oneana,
That's how
You
the
know,
COVID begins.
I'd grab that dish at the Simply Thai place, and so I haven't had it in a very long time because I don't really go over that way as much as
Right.
I used to, and yeah, man. So I looked up a recipe and like kind of
and fucking hit it. You did good the first time.
Well, yeah, it was actually the second time I did it. was
So,
when I
but you
nailed
did
it.
the same
The
recipe
first
though.
time
Did
it
you
was
use
good, but it wasn't like spicy enough.
Did
And
you
then
use the
second
same
time,
recipe, or did you use the different recipe?
Slightly different ingredients, but like
So that
similar.
might be the key.
Yeah, I kinda,
Sometimes you know what
that's
I mean.
what I mean. So now
Sometimes
I
you
got
do
the
that shit,
things I
and you
need.
don't, and you haven't made it yet, and you use a recipe that you don't know about, and it's not all it's cracked up to be. But then you go, let me try it again, and use a different recipe, and it's fucking
Yeah.
bangarade, man. Fucking.
Yeah. So I nailed it, and I'm just happy. Like, so back on that thing that's a positive thing that's come out of my life in the last month and a half is that I'm efficiently cooking and eating,
It's always good to
And
have
then,
positives.
hugely saving money in the process.
Hugely.
Cooking with
Yeah,
mAng.
especially with a growing boy, man.
Yeah.
Cost $60,000 to $70,000 to feed these wild animals.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man, times have changed.
Do your Joe voice. Fuck.
Joe.
Joe.
Carol Baskin. Carol Baskin.
Carol fucking Baskins. That bitch.
Man, Josh Exotic.
Yeah.
He need an eyebrow ring. I saw the best meme today. It had a picture of
fuck, dude, you get me
a
laughing.
close-up of Joe Exotic's eyebrow ring.
Yeah.
And you know how it's just barely pierced through his skin. There's just the smallest amount of skin. And it's like, I'm hanging on to life like Exotic Joe's eyebrow ring. And it was perfect. I think barely hanging on, man.
Oh, boy.
He didn't want to go too deep.
Right.
Well, he's in prison now, right? He's probably
Yeah.
Yeah, he's doing a little...
Because the girl.
What is he probably doing, Ange? Tell me.
he probably doesn't have any rings in his eyes.
Right,
Nope.
right. He's probably got something in somewhere. I'm sure he's getting stuffed, but
Jeez, I wonder how that,
what? I mean,
Yeah,
flamboyantly gay
enjoyably.
redneck.
enjoyably, right? I mean, and
He's
that's
having a blast.
yeah.
What do you mean you're gonna pardon me, Trump? I'm
Yeah,
good.
I'm good. I'm full of it. They're stuffing me.
Prison was a blessing.
They're stuffing me like a turkey. Oh shit! Thanksgiving every weekend up in there.
They're probably hoisting him up and carrying him around on a chair.
Yeah. Yeah, he's probably got people acting like tigers. Yeah, he probably loves it. He's used to caged animals.
He didn't get did he get all his money taken, or does he still have money? Does he still
I
have
I don't think he had any
anything
money left.
in the end he was done?
Yeah, he
Yeah,
fucked that all
empty.
up. Yeah, he
Well,
fucked that all up.
He got so in debt to Carol Baskin that he had to give her things. Like she wanted his things.
So he signed over his whole zoo and stuff to this guy. What was that guy's name? What's that little dude? The little Richie little Lowe guy or something?
He looks like a fucking
God.
child.
Jeff
I don't
Lowe or
know.
some shit.
He's the guy that when
Where's the
Shinedown starts playing in a bar,
Right.
he's the guy standing at the jukebox.
With his pants down, with his pants around his ankles. He's got
60.
he wears like a handkerchief on his head, and then
Chief.
Paranka-chief, and then he puts an Oakley hat on. And he's got a little head, real little head, short guy. He's got a beautiful wife. He's got a beautiful wife. So
Nice.
if that tells you
Yeah.
anything, and a beautiful nanny. So there's that.
This is not my beautiful house.
This is not my beautiful wife. So Benny, you got another song for us?
Yeah.
Fucking A, he brought a list, Warner. Can you believe that? He made a list.
Songs
I like it, man. I got my. Now, can I record things?
You can do whatever you want.
Or would I get flagged?
No, you don't get flagged.
I got my new recorded app.
Yeah,
Yeah, you do.
that's
I'm
right.
just recording everything.
Yep.
Nice.
Careful.
But this is cool. Yeah, it's
Your son might get a hold of that phone.
So yeah, Ryan, Ben just had a COVID baby during the COVID here.
Yeah.
You're shitting me.
No.
Indeed.
Fuck,
April
congratulations,
2nd.
man.
April 2nd, 1 month ago.
What'd you name him? Willard or Wesley or
Wesley.
Wesley?
Willard.
Wesley. He named him Wesley Rexford.
Wesley's a cool name. Man.
Yeah, it is. Wesley
Wes.
Rexford Minor?
Yeah. Well, yeah. He's my
Rex.
Well, hey, I don't know how.
He's the milkman's kid
I never had a baby out of wedlock. I don't know.
that you know of.
Yeah, I don't know
I'm
how.
13 years, he's going to be a quarantine.
Yeah, quarantine. That's a good one, Warner. Warner writes his own jokes.
Yeah, I was going to say, none of them are mine. I just re-meme
Oh, he re-memes them.
and re-meme. I just said another one.
Yeah, you did. Your dad,
2
I see. Your
seconds ago.
dad got hacked again. I see. He's just down there, just getting hacked.
What happened?
Hack.
You know why?
Tell me a
Because he
story
answered-
about your dad. Tell me a story about the Facebook thing. Why would he get hacked 2 times in less than a month?
Well, it's come to my attention. I didn't really get it. I just didn't partake. But these things that come around, that's like, all right, I see everyone else doing it, so I'm going to. I'm going to answer these 40 questions.
Right.
Favorite band.
Right.
What was your mother's maiden name? Street where you grew up.
Right.
First pet's name.
Social security number.
Town you were born in.
What's your bank account?
Yeah, what's your social security number?
That shit is info. That's got
date of birth.
That's got to be even. It's just info tracking.
Right. Oh hell yeah.
Data, man. It's data.
Yeah,
It's data collecting, and anybody like anytime I see those things, I'm like, even if like they trigger you to like, oh, I'll do it to be part of the scene.
Even the ones how much of an asshole are you? Motherfucker, I'm top notch. I don't need to fill out a form to tell me that I'm 100% asshole. What the fuck? Jesus.
Well, Facebook already reads your mind.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever had that happen.
Fuck.
You're thinking of
I mean,
something
even if
you
you're
don't
not
understand.
searching for something.
Yeah, and it'll just pop up in your fucking...
Yeah.
It reads
How
your
do I
mind.
cure AIDS?
There it is. For some odd reason, there it is.
Ah, shit.
Well, Josh, living with it as long as you have, you
Right.
might actually have the antibody they're looking for.
I could
Is
probably
that-
sell it to Magic.
Is that why I get all those Wish ads?
Right.
What's that
Man,
one?
I don't know.
You see those Wish ones though that they'll be. You look at it and you really want to click on it because you want to know what the fuck you're looking at. But
What
if you
is it?
click on it, it's Wish.
I
It's like
Ange, I haven't seen that particular one.
No.
it's in.
There's an app for that.
It's like there's a maybe that's what it was from. Was that like something happened where it got in my
Got in
feed.
there.
But it'll be there. It'll just be like a little photo, and it'll look really weird. It'll be like a leather mask and like, like
For the sex bedroom.
like
There's
all
a
this-
ball with it.
But then there's just something completely out of place in this little tiny photograph that you're looking at, barely can see,
Right.
and you just want to click on it to be like, what am I looking at?
It's a picture.
But if you do, and I think that's how I probably got those things in my feeds.
It's Kid
'cause
Rock.
I looked at something.
Singing with Sheryl Crow. All right, you got a song for us?
I do. I got
All
songs
right.
for days. songs
Kill
for
it.
Days.
All right.
You got it, man.
Some more
Here we go.
Some more GCD. For
Listen to this one, Warner.
You do guitar. Yeah.
Gotta wake up every day, owing money to the man. Seems like the more I try and try, the less I really get. Sometimes I want to give up. This whole world says you can. But I'm still out here working for something I never get. You can buy it all on credit, low interest plan. Sign your name at the bottom to support capitalism. The rich keep getting richer. I'm right here where I've been. But the bank still owns you and me, so it's back to work, my friend. And if it all adds up to nothing, in the end, don't you feel you wasted all your time being a shitty human? You don't need all the bullshit, don't need no big old plan. This old world keeps spinning round, you better hang on the best you can. Every night it goes down again. I can still see you standing there with that shithole-eating grin. And I'm still trying to make sense, right, wrong, or indifferent. Where this road is taking me, you know I haven't found that yet. Some people, they got it all. Some try hard to get a little bit. Most of us just hanging around, sucking on the government tit. And there's more to life than buying a bunch of cheap plastic shit. The time is short and the clock is ticking, so you better make use of it. It all adds up to nothing. In the end, you wasted all your time being a shitty human. Don't need all the bullshit, don't need no big old plan. This old world keeps spinning round, you better hang on the best you Friday, I'm out here howling at the moon. I'm drinking away my sorrows, trying to forget my impending doom. When it all seems so hopeless, just remember this little tune. Keep your back to the wind and hope and pray that the rain will let us through. But when that day comes, when they lay me in the ground, not all standing there thinking how I let you down. I hope you can remember one of them times I helped you out. And I hope it all meant something, because it's a little too late now. It all adds up to nothing in the end.
All right. All right. Listening to Buckshots Brother live on the mAng and Neads Show. Sonic Gardens Radio.
Live. We're live with this one.
We are live.
Live and uncut.
That's right. Ryan, you still with us, my man?
Yes, sir.
All right.
How do you like that one, Ryan? As original, right?
Yeah.
That was original tune, Warner.
I wrote that.
He wrote that. How you like it?
Now I'm gonna play it for my kid, man.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
That's the only lessons he needs to learn right there in that song.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? We talk so
Don't
much
fuck up
about
your
Chinese
credit.
plastic
Whatever you
shit.
do.
You know, like you don't need it.
Right. Well, I personally need it for my phone, but
Well, no, for kids.
Oh,
everything
kids.
Like they think they need it, and you
Oh,
like
yeah,
people
yeah,
want to
no.
buy you shit for your kids.
yeah, I try to tell. Yeah, don't even get me going on that one. Whew.
That's what I mean.
I believe you get in arguments over that one. A little bit.
Yeah, they think that we are, by telling people, because we don't want any gifts at all.
Right.
Like,
just tell
you
them
know, because he doesn't need it, man. He ends up playing with the box anyway. And I'm not
Send us
trying to
money.
like ingrain that in him that he needs. Like every time Grandma comes, she's got to come with a toy.
right.
You know. It's,
But she does anyways, right?
Just to see her, but no, yeah, she doesn't play that game, man. It's always something. It's free or like.
Yeah.
It's always something.
Yeah. Just tell her to bring money. Just bring cash.
And not
But,
those worthless savings bonds.
Yeah.
Either.
That we gotta wait.
Oh my God.
We gotta wait. Just bring paint, Grandma. We're gonna make them an
Man,
artist.
I wonder if they're worth anything. I got one in like '85.
Yes,
and
it's
never
worth
looked back.
something. It bottoms out though, but it's worth whatever. Like if they bought it for 50, it could probably go to 100. I had a couple too. I opened them up just to see what they were.
Jesus, I wonder how I find them.
Well, they're probably, you live in the same house you lived in back then. It's probably somewhere safe.
Oh, you mean I thought it was in? Never mind. I guess I thought it was somewhere in a vault. I was like 5 when they explained it to me. I was like, cool. So I come back
Right,
when
but
I'm your age and get it.
They buy the bond
Okay.
thing or whatever, and then they give it to you, though, usually, and then you just take it to the bank it was purchased at. Like, I had one from the 80s that I returned, like 2008 or 7 or something, that I had forgot about, and it was
Right.
it was time to cash in.
Yeah,
I
keep
put
an
my
eye out
money in
for
my
it.
mattress.
Yeah,
No, that was a good song, man. That was a good song.
I liked it. I like it a lot.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
What-
It's America.
It's American.
It's American made.
Yeah.
So what do you got going on in there, Angelo?
Hey
Just
man, I'm
reading something?
No, I'm listening.
Oh,
I'm
all
listening.
right.
I'm a listener. Trying to work on my
Oh.
listening skills.
Oh yeah. Well, I did that for a few years, but it didn't work out very well. I actually, if you ask Warner, I'm a pretty good listener. If it really comes down to it, I can listen pretty good for hours. I won't
There's a
look.
difference between listening and tolerating.
I won't.
And I think he towed that line.
I won't look you in the eyes a lot, like it's like that good of a story. But I listen. I do a good listen. Well, dude, you tell some fucking story, like in-depth stories.
Gotta
Like
get the background, man.
he does such a good job, though. So if you do zone out for a minute or two, by the time you come back,
It's like you were there.
he hadn't
Well,
got.
I know when I lose you, and I'm like, all right, listen, were you still in season 1 when you
Yeah.
stopped paying attention?
Yeah.
You were like episode 7, season 1. I'm like, all right, so this is, so the season 1 finale was this happened and that happened. Okay, so here, season 2, remember, I moved back home, and
He would give up driving to just ride with me to tell me stories. Basically, he'd be like, "I can't drive
give
anymore."
up driving.
He'd be like,
I kept you company.
He
I was
like-
half the reason you could drive for 14 hours straight.
"He's like
Yeah, that's true.
16 or 18." He's like, I'm done driving. I can't. I shouldn't drive anymore." He goes, and
Well,
then I'm
yeah.
like, "Yeah, but he's
And
probably
rightly
tired."
so.
So I jump up there to drive for my 16-hour shift. Remember, there's 24 hours in a day. So I'd get ready to drive for mine, and then he would just hang out with me the whole time and talk to me, which is cool. No, I'm not. it's funny to me. It's a good joke. He slept though. He had to sleep. He would sleep for a little bit.
Yeah.
bit.
Just like here, man. I sleep from like 8 a.m. to like 4 p.m.
Well, it was perfect,
Just easy.
actually, if you think about it. It was perfect, because I drive to like 10 at night, 9, 11, and then he'd try to drive as long as he fucking could. And
I'd make it to like 4.
Yeah, the one time, though, the one time he made it to like 6 something. So, yeah, so he'd drive for 5 hours. And fucking, no, but
And that was a stretch for me, man.
Right.
But I was alone, Ange. I was alone. There
yes,
was
he
nobody,
was.
just me.
And he was listening to some horrendous music, too. He would put on this,
LCD sound system.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. It was enough to make me turn my little fan speaker up to full blast. So I couldn't hear that.
Yeah. No, but if there was someone in the passenger seat, it's different, man. It sure is. But no, I cornered him, man. When I saw that he had nowhere to go in the driver's seat, I was like, okay, Josh. So this one time.
No, they're good stories, though. He does, and you know how he tells a story. Like, it's not like, if he gets onto a good one, it's even better because of the way he tells it. And he's got some good stories. Like, he's been through something. He's been through something. Yeah.
Got good stories. I just can't remember them.
Yeah, that's my problem. I'm not a good storyteller. There's nothing exciting going on, Angelo.
Actually, I was something came to mind when I was we were talking about, I don't know what triggered it, but you guys ever heard of the Coast to Coast radio show?
Nope.
Well,
Space Ghost.
Coast to Coast is like a
I get
it's like extra, it's like
east to west.
this guy would take phone calls from anybody to share their like stories, of like whether it's like some crazy space story about how they were abducted by aliens.
Oh my fucking
And he
God.
would like listen to he was such a good listener. That's
Right.
maybe that's what made me think of it.
Right.
Was that he was such a good listener that he would really get them to extract like what they like everything about it without making them feel like like laughing at them or like not that like I just thought it was I was trying to think if I could find like some of the clips I heard, but there was this one where a lady called up and she said, "All right, I'm going to tell you how it's all going to happen." And she just starts going on about how they came to me, they took me to another Earth that is like this Earth, and she's like going on about it, and it's and
you
like,
played this.
Yeah.
That's why you thought of it. You played this from one of them episodes over there in like 2017. You definitely played this for us, and it was some fucked up shit, dude.
Yeah.
Serious, like I mean, the perspective of the lady telling us, like when we listened to the clip, like she was on something. Like
Yeah, I was gonna say, is it like a DMT type of thing?
Well, she might
Not
have
that you
just
can talk when you're on it, but
she might have just been batshit crazy.
So the host is a guy named George Norrie, and he's been doing this forever. This is an AM radio show. So, like, it's those weird ones that you would get, like, driving cross country if you tune into the AM. Now that you guys know about it, you definitely should try to find it, because once you find it, it's like you might lose it again. So you'd, like, you know, you just and you catch these calls that he takes from people. And it's just like his interviewing job of it's just pretty cool.
He's good, though.
He's really good.
Where's he out of?
Where's he out of?
Yeah, like where's his show? Where's the AM?
Man, he does shows every night too. Still running coast to coast. AM from radio host George Norrie. It took me to the main page, so I don't know.
There's nothing like a main page.
Google it.
Yeah, I'm like a little slow with this one.
Oh.
Google. That's what I did, and that's what got me here. So.
Mowgli's out there just barking at something. Got him tied up to the van. You're going to tow it away. Well. All right.
Okay.
On that note, he says.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I actually am. I almost can pull up that same clip.
Oh, let's listen to it. Warren, are you there still?
Oh yeah.
All right, listen to this.
I love this stuff.
Listen to this fucking lady.
Linda.
All right, give me a second to try and.
I've been waiting. I've been waiting to give you a second. So Benny.
Yeah.
How have you been handling you've been you're an essential worker the whole time?
Well,
your wife too? Your girlfriend?
No, she's out on
maternity.
Yeah, she works for the state, so she's got a bunch of sick time she saved up.
But so she gets the time off for having a kid anyways, right?
Yeah.
Oh. So that just worked out pretty good.
Yes, it did. And they gave me 2 weeks off too, so I didn't infect the child. But
right.
Then,
and you have other children too, right?
Yeah, she got 2 kids, one 8 and 6.
Ooh.
Girl. Yeah.
Oh, you're gonna have a handful
soon. We cover
soon.
all the bases at my house.
And then when you get rid of that,
I thought that was Ben talking.
And then when you get rid of that handful, then your kid's gonna be old enough to give you a handful.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Hey,
better have
better
another
do.
one.
Yeah, why not?
Why not?
Yeah. Keep them coming.
Yeah, just yep. Maybe triplets this time. Like cousin Kyle, first time.
Yeah, he got lucky on the first round.
Yeah, doesn't have to have any more. I don't know if he got lucky, but
boy girl.
Yeah.
Boom. Done.
Boom. Done forever. All right. Did you find it, Angelo?
Sorry, I was on. I'm almost there.
Oh, it's all right. We're gonna have Benny hit another number for us.
Perfect. Do that.
All right, Benny.
Another one?
Wait,
Yeah.
I hear. What's his name?
Really?
Who do you?
Yeah.
I don't know if
you
you
got
mean
it.
to be playing that.
What?
Is that just me?
That's
Ange?
just you. Yep.
Okay.
You have a separate feed. All right. Later.
You got everybody.
I was like, it sounds like AM radio.
Talk to you soon.
All right,
Yeah.
Benny.
Later, Warner.
No, he's not going nowhere.
Oh,
Hit us with another one, Benny.
all right.
All right.
First thing I remember knowing was a lonesome whistle blowing and a youngin's dream of growing up to right. I I'm playing the wrong song. Bear with me, folks. There it is. First thing I remember knowing was a lonesome whistle blowing. A youngin's dream of growing up to ride on a freight train leaving town, not knowing where I was bound. No one could change my mind, but Mama tried. One and only rebel child from a family meek and mild. Mama seemed to know her lay in store. Despite all my Sunday learning, towards the bad I kept on turning. Oh, Mama couldn't hold me anymore. I took 21 in prison, doing a life without parole. No one could steer me right. Mama tried, Mama tried. She tried to raise me better, but her bleeding I denied. There ain't no one for me to blame, 'cause Mama tried, Mama tried, Mama tried. Your old daddy, rest his soul, left my mom a heavy load. She tried so very hard to fill his shoes, working hours without rest, wanted me to have the best. She tried to raise me right, but I refused. 21 in prison, doing a life without parole. No one could steer me right. Mama tried, Mama tried. She tried to raise me better, but her bleeding I denied. Now ain't no one for me to blame, 'cause Mama tried, Mama tried, Mama tried.
All right.
Like a
Thanks,
pro.
Benny.
All
I'm
right.
sorry I screwed up on the video on that one where I wasn't because I wasn't navigating the video properly, but you are in the corner above Josh's shoulder throughout that song.
That's
Yeah,
a
you
good
are.
place.
Yeah. Like that little guy.
So hey everybody, if you can hear this, this is so what I was gearing up for. Sorry, the juggler, he dropped one.
The juggler. That's our boy, the juggler in there.
Yeah, and so anyway, I found this clip, and this is the Nighthawk. George Norrie is the host of
cool
Coast
name,
to Coast.
bro.
He's the host of Coast to Coast AM radio show. And if you are, on these long drives, which definitely you two guys, and me, once we're gonna run the podcast out on the old whatever, when we go back out in the field.
In the field.
Yeah.
The Ryan Warner episode.
And, anyway, this is a clip from that show, and hopefully nobody minds we playing it. Oh, shit. Hold on a second.
Oh,
Oh, wait for it.
Damn.
well, folks.
We are experiencing technical difficulties.
You know what it was? I had to unplug the damn thing.
We got to do
That
some
was a bad
unplugging,
move,
folks.
gentlemen. All right. Hey, Ryan, you with us?
Oh, no.
He said, "Fuck
Warner?
you guys."
We lost the animal
out.
expert?
He's muted.
Oh, Dr. Expert, animal
Yeah.
man. Yes. Old pigfish. The pigfish as well.
You guys are gonna have to pay a cell phone bill for this month.
Oh, yeah. He's
Racking up anytime minutes.
the animal expert is unlimited.
Yeah.
Yeah, unlimited. That's what he does. He's got an unlimited plan. Free data.
Free
Data.
data. 5G
5G.
and the keys.
Yes. All right. We wanted him
All
to.
right, here we go.
I thought we wanted to play this for him.
Well, I definitely wanted to play it for him, and like I said,
Oh.
he's probably either muted or, where you at, Warner?
He's probably shaving his legs real quick.
All right.
Thought he had time, and he just.
Well, we're going to have to banter about this one, guys.
All right.
Hopefully he hears it.
Hopefully he does hear it.
typical clip from coast to coast.
Let's go to Marie in Camden, Tennessee. Welcome to the show. Hi, Marie.
In Tennessee.
Uh-huh.
Hi, George. Hi, Linda.
Hi.
I'm a first-time caller,
Wow.
and I want to tell you why the animals are being mutilated, and I also want to tell you what's going to happen to the human race.
All right, let's get your take on both.
Okay. My take is I was abducted, and also the gray aliens have been into my life since I was 8 years old. All right, here's why they're mutilating the animals. They showed me, they told me what they were doing and everything. They can't go to you, George, and say, can I have your sperm? They can't go to you, Linda, and say, can I have your egg? That's why we are being abducted, because you would say no. Also,
You would say no, Ange.
Okay, here's why they're doing it, honey. They're doing it because they have mastered it. They have really mastered it. Honest to God, they have. They took me from this planet to Mars, and they took me underground, and they showed me their base station where they have this lab, and they have they're 2 to 3 foot square glass cubicles, and each one of these cubicles has a fetus in it, and they're mutilating the animals. They're taking the protein from the animals, and inside these cubicles is this amber-like liquid. Okay, on top was a grade, and on the grade there was this bubbling, and this bubbling was like a cream, and I touched the bubbling, this liquid, and it was real tacky. And at the bottom of this cubicle is like a 2-inch hose that goes downward. Where it goes, I do not know. But anyway, there's rows and rows of these. So here's what they did. They went from a petri dish. Now they don't need the mama no more. They don't need her, because now they have mastered the master of all. They have figured out how to make a human being in this cubicle. So there were babies, little babies, born into these cubicles, and there was rows and rows of them, and they were mutilating these animals to take the protein. That's what they were doing, and I can tell you what's going to happen to the human race.
What's going to happen to us?
Okay, I'm trying to talk fast, George, and I'm nervous as hell. I'm going to tell you that right now, because I'm a first-time caller. Okay, here's what's going to happen to the human race. And I don't mean to be alarming. I don't want to upset nobody, but here's what they told me.
Lay it out for us.
Okay, here's what they told me, honey. They told me that bad things are going to happen to this planet. In fact, I saw, it was like watching a movie. And all I could do, George, is stand there and let the tears run down my face and cry, because there was nothing I could do. And I saw people running, and I saw the twisted anger and fear and tragedy that was happening. I saw flooding, fires. I saw earthquakes. I saw all kinds of bad things happening.
Was there any specific event, Marie, that started all this?
What do you mean started off?
Well, I mean, was there an asteroid strike that created all the problems?
No, George. It starts out where we're going to have like one thing build up, one thing on top of another. You know, just constantly building up of different things, and then all of a sudden, bam! Here's what's going to happen.
Bam!
Here's what they told me. They told me, and they showed me, George. They took me there in a spaceship. They would come at night to
Do you think they
There is a replica
English?
of Earth. Okay, listen to me now. There is a replica of
All
Earth.
right, I'm giving you about 40 seconds left, okay?
Get it out, Warner. Get it out.
The outskirts of our universe is a replica of Earth. And what they're going to do, they're going to come by the thousands. They're going to take people off of this planet, take them to this replica of Earth. Earth is not going to be destroyed. It's going to be made anew. Then they're going to bring the people from the replica of Earth back to this Earth, and we will be happy and everything.
Happy.
All right. I hope they don't pull us for playing that, but I guess we'll take our chances. What do you guys think of that one? You're in awe.
I got.
That's a great show, right?
I got somebody talking to me still.
I got someone in my ear.
Sorry, guys.
Someone's still. All I hear is music in my ear.
Someone's yelling at me.
Trying to drown me out.
That lady give Warner a run for his money telling a story. she was detailed.
Yes, she was. What'd you think of that one, Warner?
What do you, Warner?
Man, I'll tell you what.
Tell
I
me.
started. I was listening to it. I muted my phone, and I turned up the volume and started walking around, and then I forgot where I put my phone. So I've been looking for my phone for like the past, I don't know. I was like, where the fuck is my phone? And I ended up chasing my kid around for a little while. So I got
that works.
You're pretty sidetracked, but I found it right in time. Like I just picked it up.
Oh.
Yeah.
But no, I heard some of it. It sounds I gotta go back.
Yeah, you gotta listen to her.
that show, you guys gotta check that out when you're on the road next time.
Oh, we should.
And you try to find it on the AM channel.
Yeah.
And he runs it. Yeah. And there's just people just call in with their stories all night long.
Well, then I'll get the number and I'll call in and we'll have Warner fucking tell him a fucking
I'm nervous as hell. What'd you think of that one, Ben?
This one
you
time,
like that stuff?
the aliens come down.
Did you like the story, Ben?
I loved it. Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
She got it all figured out.
She gets higher than all of us.
Higher than a hoot owl.
Yeah, she's higher than a fucking raccoon's pecker, that lady.
But there were certain moments where her if you were I bet you if she took a lie detector test,
she was
pass.
lying.
No, she'd pass.
No way.
I'm not. That doesn't.
She believes what she's saying.
She believes what she's saying.
You think? It sounded like she was reading it, and she ain't a very good reader.
She probably wrote it down. Those are probably her manifests that she writes and all this and that. And she's like, all right, I'm going to call the radio show. I'm going to get all my papers out in front of me. It's like written in lipstick on her fridge.
Right.
And it could be a certain hallucinogen.
I think she sounded a little high to me. But that's profiling. No one's ever profiled me before.
Nah, you can sound. If you sound high, man, you're high.
Well, there's
you
different.
You can look high and not be high, but if you sound high, you're not.
There's different high sounds. There's different.
Best foot forward.
Right.
Yeah.
There's different. She could be a different high. Not high.
But yeah, I thought plug to that show if anything. Coast to Coast.
What's the guy's name? He's a master interviewer.
George Norrie.
Did you know that? He's a master interviewer.
Right. Is that what it says?
No, that's what the guy said in my ear after.
Oh, right.
I don't know who the other guy was.
That was Duncan again,
which
is funny because there's another.
It too loud.
Oh, that was Duncan?
Yeah, that was so that was the other connection with that, Ryan, that was another person and thing
we
that was
keep pulling this shit
me,
with this Duncan Trussell guy.
Introduced to me through Duncan, and I just
he's a big influence on the Angelo.
Well, he introduced if you can introduce people to cool stuff, then
right.
It's not like he's cool. He actually, the other thing he did what he did, Josh, was he took podcasting to a stage level.
Right, and did it live?
Yeah, and he did podcast live where people would sit up there and there would be an audience. And that was all little things, even what's led up to him doing that cartoon and being the producer of that is he's just trying to spread out his, the ability to reach different messages out there.
Right.
And they would, he'd be sitting there with some spiritual teacher in front of an audience of, New York City kids and stuff, whatever, stuff like that.
I like the idea because he doesn't pitch, he doesn't tell you the solution or anything like that. He doesn't tell you what to do. It's not like the Young Republicans or anything like that. He's not indoctrinating anyone with any kind of real thing other than self-reflection.
Right.
You got to find out what something means to you. You know what I mean? And you got to look at yourself and find out what the problems are and the feelings you don't want to face and, all that shit. It's, which goes back to the whole Chinese toys thing, man. A lot of people buy shit for kids they don't see a lot, like nieces and nephews and grandchildren and stuff like that, because they feel like they haven't, fulfilled something. They haven't been a very good grandparent, so they got to buy them something to make sure, to solidify it so it exists in this world, in this physical world. Here's something that represents the fact that I was here, and I love you. You know what I'm saying? It's everything is about your motivation, but it's I don't know where I was going with that.
Oh,
I hear you.
I don't either, but it was a good one.
No, I do.
Oh.
I lost a little train of thought there for a second.
I guess I never had my train of thought.
But we, yeah, man. Exactly. He doesn't push. He doesn't necessarily push like an idea or anything on you. He has a conversation with somebody that introduces you to something. You know what I mean? It's
right.
It's just a similar thing. You know.
Huh.
Yeah, man. Benny, give us another song, man.
We would like another song.
Keep this thing. Keep it up.
Yeah, I know a couple people that introduced me to a few things.
Listening to the mAng and Neads Show.
Sonic Garden Radio.
Crying eyes long to find you. It's a long lost cause. Don't know why. Me behind you. It's just the way that it was. When I give you all that I can give you, you stay right away that you need more. Been gambling so hard with them stacked deck of cards. Christ, what am I playing for? Still I'm sad on the inside, trying to take the lows with the highs. Sometimes they all come together with my crying eyes. Like a steel train pull out from the station, I can smell the change in the air. I can taste the salt pouring from my heart. I don't see you anywhere. Days pass slowly. I heard there's a moon on the rise. Everything's a little out of focus with my crying eyes. Most of the time I'm alright. She's not even in my mind. I can even recall the way her lips felt on mine. Now most of the time, maybe someday we'll meet on higher ground. Maybe when we're both a little more wise. For now I'm standing alone with my crying eyes.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Benny.
Good one.
Organic Groove Farmers.
Yeah?
Yeah, you remember them?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's my brother-in-law now.
Really?
Yeah, it was Mary Raritan's brother that
Oh,
wrote that one.
Justin.
Yeah.
How is Justin, man?
I have no idea. I think he
But
lives.
he knows the song.
I think he lives in California nowadays.
Nice.
Might have
Nice.
found God. I don't know. Maybe
Well.
not.
Warner and I found God one day
Yeah, this one time I seen him.
in the Bible Belt.
Yeah, I heard that played at the 1999
Twisted-
Grassroots Fest. Nope, not
Oh,
Twisted, not Twisted Boot.
not Twisted Boot?
No. Grassy Roots. Good times.
Nice.
Yeah.
98, huh?
Yeah.
Jesus. Your mom signed a permission slip? So you
Yeah.
could go?
14 years old with a
Holy
backpack full of beer.
Fuck.
Thanks, Cousin Tack.
Fucking A.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what happened.
Yeah, that's part of it.
Yeah, I went to school with Justin, and then he moved up to Vermont.
Vermont, yeah, that's where he
Yeah.
started that band.
And
yeah.
then they would play at that higher ground
Yeah.
right
Yeah,
there.
the time I saw him was right before they broke up. I think that show was the last show they played.
Right.
Yeah.
Huh.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Good luck finding that one on YouTube.
Yeah. Well, now we can.
Yeah, and then he just kind of went off the map with it.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
as far as I really haven't heard from him
He wasn't
since
doing the
all
music
that
thing
time
anymore, I don't think.
Huh.
Crazy. He was really
Keeping
good.
the dream alive.
Crazy.
He was always really good at it. From when we were young. Part of
Young.
the young crew.
Young bucks in Norwich.
Long-haired hippies.
Yeah.
Sitting
Yeah.
on the park bench.
Yeah. Rapping on the court steps.
Oh, yeah. Kids these days.
Oh,
Yeah, man.
What happened to the?
I'm here.
All right. Just not very often you go that long without saying something.
We're just checking.
You're making me nervous.
I get put on mute and I forget.
Oh.
Or I put myself on mute and I forget.
And then you start
So then
talking.
you start talking and realize nobody can hear you.
Yeah, and I'm like, well, fuck you then, man. You know, think
Your
you're so
shit's
cool.
not working,
Just 'cause-
guys. Shit's not
Yeah.
working.
Just because I'm not on camera, you're gonna ignore me, bro?
Yeah. Fucking. All you gotta do is call in. We put you up
Yeah,
here
you
in
gotta
a box.
Resend me that one colored image that you did there of Ryan.
Yeah, it's
That
beautiful.
one. I know.
image,
I don't
isn't
know.
it?
I
It's so
tried to find
beautiful.
it and I couldn't find where I stored it or whatever.
I do such
That
good
was a good
work.
We got to see if I can just Facebook. If I Facebook Messenger you, can't you pull that?
Oh
square
yeah,
up?
oh yeah. As long as it's in his little goddamn.
Oh, yeah, without a
Oh
doubt.
hell yeah, dude. And then I'll be able to see your pretty little face, all
We should
fuzzy.
try that,
and you'll
man.
just
You
you'll see me,
see
but I
my
wonder.
quarantine hair. But I would watch the way I do now. I would see it on the delay.
I'm curious how the conversation would work.
Well,
It'd be
let's
the
try
same,
it.
Same thing.
It's live. It's live. Yeah, it's because FaceTime is.
But he's not gonna be able to hear all of us, right?
I guess what I mean is like
Oh right.
is like the audio thing. How's that gonna work? The in and out and the voice and so I'll just have to turn up the monitor inside and then you could probably hear me.
Here I am.
Yeah, I wouldn't be able to hear anybody.
It
else,
wouldn't be
though.
like great audio for you, but it wouldn't matter to us. And we could hear you through the system. That's
Well,
what I'm
can't
thinking.
We should just. You should just have a random.
Can't you plug in Ange out of your
a random
headphones on
thing
that?
of me talking in the corner, and I'll just talk over it. It'll be like I'm my own kung fu movie.
Can't you plug like you have them plugged in now? Can't you plug them into your iPad like that or your computer? I'm saying into the soundboard.
Oh, I guess yeah, technically. So then it would probably
Loop-de-loop.
loop it the same way.
Like the Ween Boys. Loop.
Have to give that a test run for sure.
Yeah, we'd like to have a little for our
Maybe
followers.
I should give you guys a call a little earlier. We could do some test runs because I was thinking, man, if we can get that video thing, there's no reason why I can't do like a live painting on Messenger.
Right.
Yeah, right through and then same thing. Give us a man, that would be awesome.
I think you should get into body painting, Warner.
Yeah, you be his first subject.
No, I would not. We'll get him on the lot. Get some, and I'll just pick out random people to have Warner, and I can pick some good
that's
ones.
kind of a
Josh
good
will
idea.
pick out the lucky ones.
Yes, lucky people get painted.
They get painted.
Yeah, and it's
you
it's
make 'em
only
all-
nudes.
Yes.
Only dudes.
Only
That's
nu-
what the sign's gonna say.
and it would be
Only nudes. Only
and
dudes.
you paint them like fish.
fish.
Yeah.
So they're like with scales and shit.
Yeah,
You're saying?
they'd all have to be fish.
Yeah.
Walking around. Fish heads and shit.
Fish.
That
Fish
works.
heads. Yeah. We'll bring some real fish heads so
Be like,
so that we can rub them on them so
I
they get
want
the
the- 'cause-
smell.
well, the
full
thing is,
effect.
the fish head, it would be cool to actually have like scale arms and like,
Well, I
figure
mean,
that out.
I
That
mean,
It's called psoriasis.
yeah. I mean, Benny's
No,
already
like,
got
Not
it.
that cool.
Yeah, it's
No,
not
like-
that cool. Betty's got it.
no,
red
like,
arm.
silver wings, however. I
I'm
can't
pretty
describe it.
comfortable with what I got. I don't really know as if I need scales and
Like when it comes to a tattoo, if you got a tattoo and it was like a silver like robot arm, that would be cool.
yeah.
But then you could also get into like fish scales would be kind of cool with the different,
Right.
textures and colors and stuff.
snakes.
I'm with you.
Snakes
I know,
underbelly.
Hey Josh, we could do you like peacock feathers.
Motherfucking A, dude. I like birds.
Yeah, that's what I mean. But they're like scales. Peacock feathers are kind of like scales.
Well, I
Just little
mean,
half circles overlapping.
Yeah,
all
but
the way
they're
down.
not.
They're really similar.
Have you ever felt the feather of a peacock?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yes, he has.
Aren't those
Yeah,
guys?
It's one thing.
What?
Aren't those guys
What?
the ones with the big feathers?
No, that's flock of seagulls.
No, yeah, they're male. They're wild down in Miami. They just fucking run around the neighborhood and like perch on your roof and shit.
How about flamingos?
I never even saw one when I was down there. I think I think they're full of shit.
Oh.
There's the ibis, those little white ones.
Aruba and that
Jamaica?
area.
They're fucking weird, man.
Girl, I want to take you.
No, that's a song. Aruba, like
Jamaica.
What are they?
It's an island.
Dutch island.
Archipelago.
And they're out near
race
like
traders.
Brazil.
Ooh.
Off the coast of Brazil, kind of.
Out there in Brazil.
Off the coast. I
They
think
got
that's
some
where
cool
Aruba
shit
is.
going on out
It's like,
there, right?
It's like not quite, yeah.
No?
Huh?
You're making this shit up.
No. Nobody's making anything up.
I think that's where the flamingos are. I'm just saying, I think. Bahamas.
Well, no, they
right?
are. They're in South America or whatever. They're Central America, Florida. I'm pretty sure they're in Florida.
Maybe I
They
did
used to be
get
on
that
the
wrong.
Miami Vice title sequence, so gotta be down there.
Probably am making it up.
Miami.
Getting my facts mixed up. That's what it is.
Yeah.
The
Well,
Bahamas
they migrate.
have flamingos. What about the
I know
pink
it's a
ones?
huge migration thing, and where they have their kids, it's like 6,000 degrees or something. And they stand on little fucking mud piles over, and I think they do it in salt water.
Really?
I might be completely wrong.
Huh.
But they go salt water, but like super salty water. to
Well,
where
we're
it's like
going to believe you. You're the expert.
If you don't survive, you die. But it might be like there might be another one of those other weird looking sea-bearing birds.
Yeah, like a stork. Or no?
No, like
That's not what you were thinking.
albatross.
You were thinking of a herring, a blue wing tip herring. An albatross? Is like
one of those ocean birds.
Yeah.
They just go one of these birds go to some crazy desolate place.
Like a toucan? Is that
Yeah.
He just keeps naming them.
That's a jungle bird.
Oh. Well, I mean,
You close?
yeah, I'm close. I'm getting closer. Closing in on them. Just doing a perimeter. Nobody's got anything for me?
I was just gonna say maybe we get one more song out
Well,
of Ben
we'll
and
do-
we can
we
wrap
get-
this
we
baby
get-
up.
I
couple-
got
we
one
might as
more.
well get a couple
no,
more
you're
out
only
of
getting one more. I gotta go home.
Oh, what do you? Why?
We
It's
told
early.
him. We told him 2 hours. We're already
Yeah,
over
well,
that.
2 hours.
Well, we don't want to. We don't want to get him out of here. We better do a hell of a medley then, or something.
Oh, jeez. All right.
Yeah, make it last. Make it like a jam band. Make it. It doesn't have to be a jam band song, but make it like
It'll be a
Make it as long as you can.
Yeah. Make it as long as you can.
Hey, everybody! Thanks for tuning into the show.
Tell us more, Ryan.
Yeah, go ahead, Ryan.
I'm just gonna sign off. I'm out of here, man.
right.
I'm gonna listen, but
All right,
I got charcoal things to do.
Oh.
All right, bro.
Good
Talk
talking
to you
guys,
later.
man. Ben, it sounds great, man.
Later, bud.
All
Later,
right,
guys.
Later.
listen to the mAng and Neads Show. This is Buckshots Brother.
Sonic
live.
Garden Radio.
Sonic Gardens Radio.
Sometimes you're black, sometimes you're white. Sometimes you go to bed early, sometimes you stay up all night. Lately I've been losing my faith, I've been losing my ground. Telling myself, what am I gonna do now? And if it all started making sense, I wouldn't know what to do. I'm making the same mistakes over and over again, just like you do, and it feels like I'm playing with a stack deck, but I didn't deal the hand I got. Ain't gonna do you no good to cry about it, and life's a big old circle, world keeps spinning round. hopeless, know that I'm a mess. Kinda like watching one of them slow motion train wrecks, and life is so fucking easy. I have it all figured out. Someone keeps telling me that's what it's all about, and I keep trying the same damn things with the same damn results, and don't try and change me, cause it's all my fault, and life's a big old circle, world keeps spinning round. Get busy living, get busy dying. You know it's time to move on. There ain't no sense in trying. I can't explain it to you. Some silly shit. At the end of the day, we're all fucking hypocrites, and I'm the worst of them all. Ain't that some shit? Back where I started, which is nowhere. I'm getting there real fast. Baby, see if I care. And life's a big old circle, world keeps spinning round. If I could play guitar, that's where I'd play a solo. Woo!
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yo, thank you so much.
Thank
Yeah,
you guys.
man.
Ladies and
Thank
gentlemen,
you.
Buckshots Brother, I hope you had a good time.
Little Bonnie.
You are welcome back anytime.
Yeah.
You can,
Till
you
next
know,
time.
Till next
Thank
time.
you very much. We
All right.
appreciate it.
So,
Better
this
get
is
home before you get yelled at.
Yeah, I know. Gotta feed them kids.
Yeah, you do.
mAng and Neads Show.
mAng and
Thanks,
Needs,
guys.
man. Thanks for tuning in if you did. Thanks for watching. Subscribe. We need more subscribers if you could, please. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sonic Garden Radio live. We'll be back tomorrow, day 49.